Thank you. And I'll try to remember to leave a beat once we call on anybody for folks to unmute when it's their turn to speak or to ask a question. And I guess you needn't announce the exits, sadly. But I hope that you're all in a safe place, and I'm grateful to everybody for the work you're doing under extraordinary circumstances, and to the time that the Regents continue to volunteer to our work here. So let's begin with a motion, please, to adopt the agenda.
Susan Naomi, so moved.
Merle, second.
Thank you. All in favor to adopt the agenda? Aye.
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 Safe to say that we're moving past that one pretty easily. We offer an opportunity to address the board, and given the technology, et cetera, I think there was a time by which those who wanted to address the board would alert the secretary. Erin, are you aware of anybody who wishes to do so or who has sent remarks?
No, Mr. Chairman, the deadline was 8:30 this morning and nobody had sent anything. And I can also share that as of now, we haven't received anything either.
All right, thank you. I'll keep my remarks brief, but I just want to state the obvious, which is our acknowledgement of the very difficult conditions that not just our campuses and students and their families and faculty and staff face, but that our state faces, and certainly that our neighboring state, New York, to an extraordinary degree, confronts right now. And to say that this gives us all, I think, a dreadful perspective on matters, and to the extent that everybody involved across the system has worked at the many levels necessary to attend to student concerns, academic concerns, administrative concerns, and in some significant ways to our system's contribution of facilities and capacity to the state's response. It is appreciated, and I know will go down in everyone's career and life as a moment at which they were able to do something at an important time that's very helpful. I would just thank, since he's on the line, Commissioner Westby, who I know finds himself at the Department of Labor administering probably the largest rush on unemployment claims in history, and doing so, I think, with an incredible effort by a team that's under great duress. So, Commissioner, thank you. I know that Commissioner Coleman Mitchell cannot be with us today, but clearly in her capacity as our Chief of Health at the state level, she's been called on in a way she probably never anticipated, but continues to do magnificent work and up and down the line. All of you deserve our recognition and appreciation, and you have our support. In the system, whether you're at the front lines as faculty or staff dealing with student needs or academic needs, or at the administrative level at one of our campuses or in the Board of Regents system office, I know how hard you have been working. The board is full of admiration and appreciation for your efforts, and we look forward to doing whatever we can to support you, to get our community at large through this, certainly with our students first and foremost. I want to welcome to the board our new faculty regents, Dr. Blitz from Central and Dr. Sesanker from Gateway. Thank you for accepting the roles as chair and vice chair, respectively, of the Faculty Advisory Committee. We received confirmation of their election in the end of February, almost immediately following which COVID hit our system. So this, I think, is the meeting where we first had them both around the figurative table to join with us. We welcome you and look forward to our work together, and we look forward to your report momentarily. And I know that you've been in touch with the senior staff, or they have with you, and your committee chairs will be reaching out to you. You, I think, have been appointed to committees that you requested, and the committee chairs look forward to working with you. We look forward to the reports both from the Faculty Advisory Council and the Student Advisory Council so that we can hear your important perspectives under these circumstances. And then we'll move into the balance of the meeting. I wanted to take just a moment of privilege, if I can, to just share with those who haven't heard that we received some unwelcome news recently that one of our most steadfast, dedicated, and skillful colleagues will be leaving us for new horizons. Erin Fitzgerald, witnessed this very meeting, has been at the right side of board chairs for some years now. And in my experience and then observation prior to taking the chair myself, has been a steady guiding hand to everyone she has supported in the important role of secretary to the board. It's probably one of those roles that's prone to underappreciation. It is really crucial and essential to the work of the board and to good governance. And it's a complicated job, from the many legislative and constitutional parameters that govern our work to Robert's rules that are always close at hand for Erin, to the abundant public information requirements, administrating meeting arrangements such as these, as well as those are at the office and around campuses, the documentation, et cetera. Erin has just done a magnificent job as a true professional, and she's going to be deeply missed. She has accepted an opportunity closer to home that I think is going to add an hour and a half a day to her life, not in a car. And we all know how important family is to Erin, and it just sounds like, particularly given the year that she has had with a grave loss in her family, that this is the right choice for her to make, even though it's certainly not one we would have ever hoped for from a selfish Board of Regents administration perspective. So I just wanted to congratulate Erin on her opportunity and thank her in this venue for her work. And we hope in the future, Erin, that we'll have an opportunity to do so in a more personal and fitting way, given everything that you have devoted to our work.
Thank you.
All right. Erin, thank you. I know it's an awkward moment to go further, and we will have an opportunity to do that and recognize you, but thank you. And I only wish we had meetings in person in the foreseeable enough future that we could think we'd say farewell to you in person in this setting, but it's not looking that way. Okay, so I want to now close my remarks and turn it over to Dr. Blitz for the FAC report.
Thank you, Chair Fleury. Can you hear me now?
The floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear me now? Let me briefly introduce myself. I've been a faculty member at CCSU for just over 30 years, during which time I've served as chair of the philosophy department, director of the University Honors Program, coordinator of the Peace Studies Program, and chair of the University Planning and Budget Committee. I'm looking forward to serving on the board as an ex officio non-voting member representing the FAC. We have had two meetings of the FAC since the last board meeting, one in person in February before the crisis, and another online in April, which was the postponed March meeting. We have another regularly scheduled meeting tomorrow. The last two meetings focused mainly on the problems inherent to the consolidation process of Students First, where the FAC objects to actions taken by the various ad hoc committees in disregard of stated faculty objections and existing college structures, and the policy on credit, no credit, announced by the System Office Academic Affairs without adequate consultation and input from faculty. As this concerns the community colleges, I asked the Vice Chair of the FAC, Kalina Sasankar, representing the community college faculty, to speak to the resolutions we passed in these regards. Kalina?
Thanks, David. Good morning, all. So I will read for you just the resolutions that were passed in February and in April, the majority of the one that was passed in April anyway. So there were two resolutions passed on February 21st, and the first was Advisory Committee, the statutorily representative system-wide body of the Connecticut State College and University faculty, fully supports the college governance body's resolutions recalling all faculty and staff from Students First committees and work groups, and encourages all college governance bodies to hold votes on such resolutions. The second was that the FAC, the statutorily representative system-wide body of CSCU, fully supports college governance bodies' resolutions to reject the Students First curriculum endorsement process as an illegitimate substitute for shared governance, and encourages all college governance bodies to hold votes on such resolutions. At the time, so I'll give some context, at the time, 7 of the 12 colleges had voted on resolutions of non-participation in Students First, and to date, 10 of the 12 colleges have passed such resolutions. In January of 2020, an op-ed entitled Good Faith in Community College was published in the Connecticut Mirror, and it summarized faculty opposition to the Students First consolidation efforts up to that point. It expressed concerns about the redirection of system resources, both finances and faculty labor, towards system office initiatives that college governance bodies have thus far resisted. It reported that we, meaning community college faculty and staff, intended to do what we could to redirect those resources back to our colleges where they were urgently needed. We felt confident in our ability to do that, given the backing of all 5 unions in the CSCU system. They had recently issued a statement of unity in support of our opposition to Students First. And given system leadership's assurances that those who served on Students First committees as part of their additional responsibilities did so voluntarily. So once the spring semester began, governance bodies began passing resolutions consistent with that effort and relieving their elective representatives to Students First committees of their responsibilities to represent their colleges, expressing support for those who chose not to participate in curricular consolidation, and declaring their intention to not participate in curricular endorsement, including endorsement of the students of the general education proposal for the one college. So to date, 10 of 12 have done pass resolutions consistent with at least one of those. And in addition, CSET and the ESL Council have done so. Some college departments have also done so. The effect of that withdrawal has been particularly striking in its effect on the shared governance work group of the SFASACC. And the group's initial composition at the beginning of this year was 12 elected representatives, 1 from each college, 6 from SFASACC, and 1 student. This spring, 13 members have been recalled by their colleges or are no longer participating. And of the remaining members, only 2 employees are not currently housed at the system office. So I just want to make sure that it is noted that these actions were not about faculty saying that they don't want to be involved. In fact, they are intended to be the declaration that they would like to be involved, but simply that these committees have not provided the appropriate structure. I'll move on to our April 3rd recommendations on pass-fail. So at our April 3rd meeting, we developed some recommendations on the special COVID pass-fail option that had been announced at the end of March. At the time, they had not yet been revised. I'm not sure that they have been yet. I will read part of this and leave the rest for you. They are included in the agenda. March 25th, CSCU Community College students received notification of a new procedure for a special pass-fail option to address the disruption to the semester caused by the global COVID-19 pandemic. Shortly after, community college faculty and staff were notified of the option's existence. The FSC acknowledges the importance of providing students with course grading options to potentially ease anxiety and accommodate students' difficulties. Moving to an online learning environment, the FAC applauds the instinct to move quickly to address students' concerns. We believe, however, that the policy in its presentation to the students could benefit from significant refinement. Procedure was developed without input or consultation from faculty and staff across the community colleges who teach, advise, counsel, and otherwise directly serve students. As a result, we have potentially promised students more than can be delivered. There is a section on precisely what those promises are. And I'll skip on to our colleges are now bound by those promises. They can and must be first further specified. There is still time to remedy the situation, and it is our understanding that our community college faculty and staff are eager to fulfill their responsibility to participate in the development of policy that would affect the integrity of our programs and degrees and impact our students' future prospects. We're unaware of any process that would facilitate our input and therefore recommend the following. 1, formal input should be solicited from Dean's Council, college governance leaders, Registrar's Council, and Financial Aid Council. 2, that input should be used to inform a specific, clearly documented policy to be reviewed and approved by the above bodies before it is provided to students. And further, as stated, without adequate caution or guidance, there's real risk that students will misunderstand the procedure or policy and its implications until the policy is further specified. FAC recommends that an appropriate group at each college take responsibility for crafting a more cautious message about the option for their students, encouraging them to consult with program directors and advisors in the interim until a fully specified policy is available. Students should be made aware of other options that may be less limited. In addition, FAC also notes the time burden and mental strain that the retrofit of the surprise option represents to our already overtaxed faculty and staff and urges system leadership to honor the processes appropriate to independently accredited institutions, as it has with the universities in the system, even in emergency situations. And so those are the two resolutions, just to let you know kind of what we've been up to and what we've been thinking. And we look forward to providing a proper semi-annual report in June. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further from the FAC?
No, not at this point. Although if members of the board have any questions, both Kalina and I are here to answer them to the best that we can.
Okay, thank you. Let's turn to the Student Advisory Committee report. Monica Maldonado chairing that committee. I hope you're still on the line.
I am here. Thank you so much, Chairman Fleury. Good morning, Chairman Fleury, President Ojakian, and fellow regents. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to update the board on our Student Advisory Committee's semi-annual report. I want to first express my deepest gratitude for the absolutely amazing work of the entire CSCU system. These are challenging times for humanity as a whole, and I am inspired and encouraged by all you have accomplished in order to transition the tens of thousands of students and faculty to adjust to online learning in light of the COVID-19 global pandemic. It is thanks to your commitment and diligent work that we were able to have a smooth and seamless transition. I will always remember your leadership and dedication to student success. This year's mission of the Student Advisory Committee, we presented the idea that the intent of the Students First initiative was an effort to unify our community colleges. As the chair, I promised to provide neutral information about Students First and the consolidation of our 12 campuses. I led with the understanding that our job as members of the committee was not to choose a side, but to bring concerns about students first to the attention of the Board of Regents. And that is what we did. According to Angelo Simoni, the 2019-2020 Student Advisory Committee saw the most student involvement since he has been working with this committee. We had representation from each school for the majority of our meetings this academic year. Giving this type of platform to student leaders fosters infinite potential, allowing individuals to flourish for many years to come. It is a great honor to have direct access to President Ojakian and receive firsthand knowledge of the inner workings of the Students First initiative. President Ojakian effectively delivers informative updates on the process of seeking accreditation as a single community college, as well as keeping us informed on the system's endeavors at the state capitol. President Ojakian, we thank you for your efforts to remain committed and transparent. As a committee, we were able to observe the focus on students first. As a committee, we were able to observe the focus on student success with the goal to improve graduation and completion rates, advisement systems, and student learning outcomes. We were able to participate in the Students First Academic and Student Affairs Consolidation Committee, including general education, shared governance, and curriculum alignment work groups. We gain insight on the necessity for the system to pool our resources rather than stretching them thinly. We were able to communicate with our campuses on how Students First does this by sharing non-student facing services with deploying resources centrally, regionally, and locally in order to save money and improve quality overall. The Student Advisory Committee was able to engage on topics such as the Public Safety Task Force and its initiative to make policies consistent across all campuses, including the appointment of a public safety director for each campus. We were first to learn about the strategic implementation of the Live Safe app. In late October, we saw the Connecticut state branch of the NAACP pass a resolution officially endorsing the Students First plan, noting the attention on closing the equity gap for minority students. We learned about the promising guided pathways advising model and the case management model. We expressed our approval of and promoted the UPass program. Additionally, when students raised concerns, Angelo did his due diligence and provided appropriate follow-up. For example, he sent out the employee conduct policy so that students had a clear understanding of how to handle concerns with faculty. He also provided data upon request, including a report on the reserve funds for each institution. We held a special meeting where, again, we were first to learn about the 2021 tuition hold for community colleges and the increases to the state universities. We heard in great detail the introduction of the Pledge to Advance Connecticut and were able to give student input on the parameters that were being proposed. The last time we were able to meet face-to-face, we had the privilege to hear from Presidential Fellow Dr. David Levinson, who patiently and intently addressed numerous questions regarding Students First. I believe this meeting was critical in building trust within the student body and suggest bringing him back to speak with next year's committee as well. As the chair to the committee, one major goal for me personally was to learn more about graduation metrics. And thanks to Bill Gamble, we learned about the computation metric concerning the graduation rate for first-time full-time students, which inspired my testimony to the Appropriations Committee in asking for dedicated funding to allow the board to pursue much-needed changes to the outdated calculation means of the current federal metrics. And finally, on behalf of the Student Advisory Committee and the CSCU student body, we would like to thank Provost Dr. Jane Gates, CFO Ben Barnes, Angelo Simoni, and President Ojakian for not only listening to student concerns regarding the COVID-19 online transition, but actually addressing each and every one of them in the form of policy changes. We asked for a pass-fail option, and we got that. And just as a side note, there were talk about students wanting to have a petition going to get this pass-fail option. So it's something that we pushed diligently, and we were really excited to see that option come out. And I know that there's people are talking about making it more defined so that everyone understands what is accepted as a pass-fail option. We asked for an extension on incomplete grades for the fall semester, and we got it. We asked for refunds for dormitory expenses. We got it. We asked for financial assistance to help our student nurses get access to printer paper and ink. And yes, we got that too. Campus foundation boards stepped up to the plate and delivered unprecedented access to funds and laptops for students. We were given free internet options and were advised about Access Health's offer to accept new healthcare coverage applications during the pandemic. We have online tutoring and advising, and the list goes on. The board was faced with a total unknown. This was something that not one of you had any prior experience with. Still, you did it, and we thank you. I also want to say a special thank you to all the Student Advisory Committee members. Your leadership is outstanding. Thank you to Erin Fitzgerald for all your help through this academic year, and congratulations on your retirement. And to each member of the board, you each have my profound gratitude. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Monica. And thank you for your earnest and good work representing students to this board. It's been very helpful. At this point, I'll turn the agenda and the proverbial microphone over to President Ojakian and ask him to share his remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, members of the board. Before I get into my more formal remarks, I too also want to welcome our two new representatives from the FAC to the board and look forward to when we can meeting with them and continuing to work towards our mutual goals, which I think is to serve all the students in our system. I also want to also acknowledge Erin and her impending departure. I believe we're going to have Erin a little longer than we initially anticipated, so we look forward to working with her over the next couple of months for a smooth transition. I'll have more to say about her at a later date, and Mr. Chairman, we may get our wish at some point and actually be in person with her to wish her well before she departs. I also want to thank the commissioners who sit on our board. I know we have Commissioner Westby with us this morning, who, as you indicated, Mr. Chairman, is under an incredible amount of pressure in terms of the unemployment claims that are being filed in the state of Connecticut, but is really stepping up to the plate to make sure that everybody receives the benefit that they are entitled to, and is always willing to take my phone call when I have an issue that we need to discuss. The same thing with Commissioner Coleman Mitchell, who's been a resource to me as we've tried to move quickly and flexibly through this pandemic. I think sometimes we forget we are in the middle of a pandemic, since every one of our days seems to be the same. Office or a dining room or a living room to conduct business, but she has always returned my phone calls, sometimes not till 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, but she's been a great resource and a partner, as has Commissioner Lehman. We are working with him now on the phased-in reopening of our state, as he works with the governor's team to try to put some guidelines in place. And then Commissioner Cardona, we've worked with so closely and collaboratively, making sure that our K through 12, and especially our graduating seniors, have a seamless path to attending one of our institutions. So to all of them, thank you very, very much. To the incredible work that's been done, I'll have more to say, by the faculty and staff in transitioning to online. It really has been heroic. I wanted to thank all of them for their efforts. I want to thank the campus leadership for their incredible efforts working with us on a daily basis to navigate issues that have arisen, which we never thought we would have to deal with as higher education leaders. And then finally to my team, really led by Alice Pritchard. We have, I think, come together day and night to try to make this as bearable of a situation as one could possibly make it. And so to my team, I couldn't be prouder to be part of the team and to continuing to work every day, every night, every weekend on behalf of the system that we are honored to serve. So since it became clear that we were be forced to close our physical campuses for an extended period of time, our top priority at the system has been to help students adjust to a new reality. We also were asked to be a critical part of the governor's statewide emergency response team. So we've had to balance those two sets of primary responsibilities over the last, I would say, 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, since we knew that we were not going to be able to complete in-person instruction and we had to close our campuses. You'll hear more from me about our the financial issues that we face, but it's important to understand that we first pledged continue to pay student workers through the remainder of the semester, regardless of whether they were able to do their work or not. These are workers that are paid through institutional funds, not through federal work-study funds. And we knew that our students were going to be challenged just to, not only transition to online, but to make ends meet. And so we thought it was important that regardless of whether they were able to continue their work online, that they be paid. We also moved quickly to prioritize refunding room and board for resident students, an important monetary source during difficult times for students and their families. And finally, we worked with foundations, our incredible foundations, to reallocate funds to be spent on helping students make ends meet this crisis. From a technical standpoint, we have worked to ensure our students have the resources necessary to complete. We have made devices available wherever possible, though there continues to be a large backlog of orders for laptops, tablets, and other computers. We have also made software like Microsoft Teams available to all students and faculty during this time, and have worked directly with internet providers to ensure students have access to high-speed broadband. We also continue to keep our legislative representatives informed at every step of the way of what we are doing in the system, and are actually in the process of setting up more legislative forums virtually for folks who represent our community college districts. We recently were invited to do one by the leadership of the New Haven delegation for Gateway, and we intend to do more of those over the next couple of weeks. This is, as you know, a very unique school year. Obviously, we have closed our physical campuses and are conducting everything online. And that also includes many of the labs that we never thought possible to complete online. And almost all of our classes were able to go forward in this online environment. We have heard a number of concerns, as we had expected, and they are largely reflective of the issues being faced by most of our state and most of our nation. COVID-induced anxiety is real, and it's a concern that we continue to attempt to address. Insecurity was already an issue for far too many of our students. Because we had to close our food pantries, that problem was exacerbated. Fortunately, our institutions were able to donate thousands of pounds of food products to local food banks to help alleviate that need. And those food banks have been and continue to be an important resource for many of our students. Lack of in-person mental health care because of the pandemic is also a problem without an easy solution. Though telehealth services are offering a promising path forward temporarily. As I indicated before, the faculty have been incredible in their transition to online learning. We had many of the tools in place to make such a move, but it was a huge shift in a short period of time. And having an institution like Charter Oak that has been providing high quality online education for years was an invaluable resource as we sought to make a huge change at scale in a very short amount of time. They have the expertise and have offered real support to those utilizing online learning for the first time. I want to give a special mention to a couple of really, I think, inspiring stories that have come out of this terrible situation and how we continue to be part of the governor's statewide emergency efforts. At the most recent count, CSCU institutions have donated hundreds of thousands of PPE items, including close to 212,000 pairs of gloves, 12,000 masks, 2,000 gowns, 15 ventilators, and many, many more items. In addition, responding to the immediate and critical need, community colleges, including Asnuntuck, Housatonic, Naugatuck Valley, Northwestern, and Tungus, have begun to produce face shield frames using 3D printing technology for area hospitals and nursing homes. And Western Connecticut State University has also donated a 3D printer to a local hospital for that purpose. This is only a snapshot of what our incredible institutions have done to be part of the community and state response to this pandemic. And thanks to all of you on the campuses that have made this possible. We're so proud of these efforts and will continue to keep the board members apprised as more opportunities arise in the coming months. And I think the thing to take away from the initial part of my remarks is that we have an incredible team throughout our system. It's incredibly hard to make all of these things happen. We had to move with a tremendous amount of speed. We had to move with the flexibility to make things happen in a short period of time because the fluidness of the situation changes not only day by day, but hour by hour. So to everybody, thank you so much. From a financial perspective, we are keeping track of every single expense that we are incurring as a result of the pandemic. We've been directed to do so by the Office of Policy and Management as we look to recoup those expenses, either as part of a governor's overall recovery effort or through some of the emergency declarations that have been made at the federal level. I talked a little bit about the refunds earlier to our residential students. Just wanted to point out that resulted in $25.6 million being refunded to students and their families. And we are in conversations about how we can make institutions whole from that amount. Fiscal 2021 spending plan development is starting for all of our institutions, and we anticipate sharing new proposed block grant distribution and system office spending plans next week, including breaking out shared services and a one college budget. In addition, some guidance from the U.S. Department of Education came out recently regarding a portion of the funding for us under the CARES Act. You may know that the CARES Act allotted $54 million to our institutions. Under the Act, we must use 50% of the Higher Education Stabilization Fund for emergency student financial aid. This amounts to $14.2 million for the colleges and $13 million for the universities. The remaining 50% goes directly to institutions, and we are on hold pending further guidance from the U.S. Department of Education. We are working with campus leaderships to design the protocol for refund for the emergency portion of this funding. And we should have that ready to go in the next few days, because the federal government wants us to get money in the hands of students as quickly and as easily as possible. In terms of facilities, emergency surge hospitals supporting potential Danbury Hospital and Yale New Haven Hospital COVID-19 patient overflow have been set up in western and southern field houses, both of approximately 250 beds. 20 hospital bed setups and most nursing program equipment was loaned from Gateway to Bridgeport Hospital for a 36-bed patient overflow located under a tent adjacent to the hospital. 8 classrooms at Gateway are being used for new employee and nurse onboarding due to a current lack of space at Yale New Haven Hospital. Clinical staff from UConn Health who are asymptomatic with COVID-19 or have been exposed to the virus will start self-isolating in central dorms this week. Up to 185 beds are reserved for UConn. New Britain first responders who need to self-isolate or are concerned with returning home have also been provided with dorm space at Central. And then finally, we have been part of an effort with our Long Wharf space, working with the governor's team and the military and CVS to set up a testing site, which I believe will be operational, if it's not today, tomorrow or early next week. So the incredible effort that our campuses and my team has done to work with the appropriate agencies and the military to set up these sites has been really exemplary. From a human resources perspective, we shifted an overwhelming majority of our employees to telework and established clear telework guidelines for managers and employees. We wanted to ensure that to keep employees and students whole from a pay perspective while maximizing the ability to continue to work and contribute. Most of our folks are home, although there are some essential staff on campus, primarily maintenance, custodial, and security. And our priority and strong focus is ensuring their safety and well-being. We've had to integrate our employees into the support of the role as campuses shift to the mission of supporting the state in the pandemic through housing first responders and medical staff, and establishing hospital on our university campuses and providing training space on our colleges. There are regular meetings that are held telephonically and virtually with our 10+ unions to ensure the resolution of issues and concerns quickly and effectively and informally where required, formally where necessary. But the overall mission for us in terms of human resources is to ensure the health and safety of our employees and to ensure that they are not disadvantaged financially because of the pandemic. From an IT perspective, our standing policy at CSCU is that for every course taught on campus, we have an online shell in Blackboard, which is a systems online learning platform. And we use the week of spring break to populate these shells with content for the remainder of this semester. And during spring break, we distributed computers and hotspots to faculty, staff, and students. We continually remind staff of the data security requirements that we all need to be aware of as we continue to work remotely. And we've also been a critical support to state agencies in building out temporary field hospitals with data and internet connections. In terms of academic affairs, and I'm almost through, I apologize for the length this report, but in the last month we've had a lot to accomplish. I know we're going to have a conversation a little later in academic affairs about new programs that the board will be considering and that institutions will be moving forward. I would just like to say that I think that at this time in our state's history and in our system's history, we need to entertain innovative and career readiness programs that are responsive to industry high demand and workforce needs, which will be developed by our institutions. I think that's critically important. And I hear from the governor all the time when I speak to him that we need to be not only ready, but he considers us to be the economic engine for the future economic recovery of our state. I also want to say we were responsive to SAC requests as they came up. Monica, I want to thank you for your report. I know we'll have time, I think in May, to thank you for your leadership and the leadership of Elena. I don't know if she's still on the phone. I think she's in Georgia, if I'm correct. But the two of you have been incredible leaders for the interests that students care about. And what we've tried to do at every step of the way is to be responsive to what you need to be able to complete your education appropriately. So one of the requests you made was for a one-time extension for courses granted and complete during the fall 2019 and the winter 2020 intersession due to COVID-19, and we have moved that forward. We also created 2 crisis management teams, one in the area of remote teaching and learning, and one in the area of enrollment management crisis. The remote teaching and learning team was tasked with identifying and prioritizing the issues that relate to successful completion of courses for the spring 2020 semesters, and to begin to look at recommendations for the summer and fall 2020 semesters should the virus situation continue. And this was at the community colleges. They did come back with recommendations, and I think you received notice yesterday of what our intentions are for the fall semester. The universities we're also finalizing their protocols for the summer, and you will be receiving that shortly if you haven't already. Just as a side note, I intend to pull together a team from all constituencies from our institutions to start looking at some options for the fall. Many institutions will find that they will not be able to return to large gatherings in the fall. And we need to have contingencies in place early so we can not only make our faculty and staff aware of the opportunities for the fall, but also to allow students the time to make informed decisions about coursework for the fall. Now I want to just talk briefly about pass-fail for the spring of 2020. We'll be sending out a student message early next week, making the formal announcement, but along with a Q&A and a site where students can go to electronically sign up for that as an option. But all community college students will have the option to convert any and all of their grades they earn in any of all of their classes completed during the spring 2020 semester to pass fail. The universities are also finalizing their procedures. Some have done it, some have just completed their process and have sent to the president their recommendations. I do want to thank everybody that's submitted proposals for amendments and changes since we first began to consider this in early March. When the initial proposal was sent to the academic deans of each community college campus. They received, I believe, a lot of feedback on changes that needed to be made, modifications that they had suggested. Those have all been incorporated. I do want to thank the FAC for their comments that they did send, which we considered and incorporated into the final document. So I want to thank the many members of our academic affairs team under Provost Gates for their incredible and collaborative work on this. Understanding we needed to move quickly and flexibly to make sure that students had every option available to them during this time of unprecedented crisis. With feedback from staff in the system, campus leaders, academic deans, faculty members, developing this procedure over the last month, I believe was truly a team effort, and I'm greatly for all those who participated. And we will share further updates on this in the coming weeks. Just two other quick comments. First of all, in terms of our progress on Students First, I did inform the board or through the executive committee that we had originally been scheduled to appear before NECHI this month, I believe on the 20th, to submit to them our status report and our 2-year implementation plan and our response to some of the issues they raised last year, which we've been working with Dr. Brittingham on since those were given to us back in July. Because of the pandemic, they did want to delay that meeting, so hopefully they could meet with us in person. And so we're now scheduled to go to their annual meeting in June to have a very robust conversation about moving our efforts forward. And then just finally, I want to give you a status on our CEO searches. The CEO searches, as many of you know, continued this week with virtual campus interviews with 8 finalist candidates. You look forward to hearing the campus feedback next week. We all do. The selected candidates will be recommended to the board at the May 14th meeting. I want to thank all of the campus advisory committee members, the faculty, the staff, and the students from the 5 participating campuses: Gateway, Capital, Housatonic, Manchester, and Middlesex, and the regents who participated in this process. I want to especially thank Dr. Coley and Dr. Steinmetz, who are serving as their search committee chairs for their leadership. Once again, Mr. Chairman, I apologize for the lengthy comments, but I felt it was important for the full board to hear the incredible efforts we have made at the system level, but also the incredible efforts that are happening on campuses, faculty, staff, students, and leaders engaged collaboratively in working remotely on behalf of students during this pandemic, which quite frankly, as you know, Mr. Chairman, I've been around a while and really never thought that I would be involved in a crisis such as this. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I will conclude my remarks.
Thank you, Mark. Your report and everything it represents is appropriate, impressive, valued, and appreciated. Are there questions for President Ojakian from the regents? Okay. I'm sorry, was someone there?
Matt, it's David Jimenez. Mark, I just wanted to, can you hear me? Mr.
Yes,
Chairman, it's David Jimenez. Yeah, Mark, I just wanted to sort of, recognize just what a Herculean effort you and your team have put forward in responding to this, this unprecedented crisis as you described it. And it sounds like you have been at the forefront of a variety of different tasks and issues and decisions that had to be made. And it also sounds like your team has really come together and delivered as we needed to, first and foremost for our student body. You mentioned some follow-up. It sounds like some follow-up efforts related to the pass-fail decision. Can you just provide a little more detail about what remains to be done on that issue?
Well, thank you, David. So we have received, as I indicated, a wide variety of input from various constituencies since we first considered this in early March. So the policy is if it's not finalized yesterday, will be finalized today or tomorrow, and will be sent out with a student message early next week, along with a Q&A, because it's very important for folks to understand what this is and what this isn't, and what students should do in order to entertain this option, as well as the remote site that students can go on to not only get more information, but instead of having to fill out paper documents and submit them somewhere, there'll be an electronic way to do that. And we worked over this past week to test that and to make sure that it would be operational. So I would anticipate that going out on Monday. But I would just point out that since we began to entertain this and sent it to the academic deans, I believe on the 12th or 13th of March, the initial proposal, we have received a lot of feedback, which we have incorporated into the final document.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Other questions or comments from the Regents? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to move to the next item on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda and a second?
This is Naomi, so moved.
Holly, second.
This is Elise, second.
Thank you, Holly. All right. I think Holly beat you to the punch. So we have Naomi and Holly on the first and second for the minutes. Aaron, are there any questions or comments before we move this? All right. All in favor on the consent agenda? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Are any opposed? Are any abstaining? Sorry for my deliberate pace, but I think we got everybody. The consent agenda is adopted. Time now for the standing committee reports. We have a couple, and we'll start with the Academic and Student Affairs Committee.
Can you hear me?
We sure can.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Merle.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope everyone else can too. That's on a WebEx. Is that maybe someone can, because I'm on the phone like you are. Can someone on WebEx let me know if you can hear me?
We can hear you, Merle.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Okay. As you can see from the consent calendar, we had a very, very long meeting. It was actually 2 meetings together because we had canceled our our March meeting. So this meeting, the meeting was held on April 3rd, and we approved both March and April agendas. There are 2 items that are before you for action today that are a little more complex. And the first one is on page 114 of the board agenda. And it deals with grading notations and academic engagement. I want to thank Steve McDowell for presenting this to us. It's a very complicated item on first read because it deals with grading, and when you first read it, you think, wow, why are we changing this? What difference does it make? But in truth, what we're trying to do is to adopt a grading system that does two things. One, it complies with federal student financial aid requirements because some of our institutions in the past, our community colleges, have not taken attendance in the way that it is acceptable or they have not shown attendance in courses the way it's acceptable to the federal government, and we have had some serious penalties in the past. The second thing when we want to make sure is that there is equity, that between economically disadvantaged students that are on student financial aid and students who do not have this kind of a problem. And it deals with the issue that a student who is paying tuition can register for a course and then not show up. They don't pay, so they are immediately withdrawn from the course. Whereas a student on financial aid, the financial aid is processed, and we have until the census date to really determine whether the student is actively engaged, and then they're withdrawn. In the past, there were two different kinds of withdrawal. One was the withdrawal that you never came, and the other was the withdrawal that you actually ended up with an F eventually on your transcript, which really disadvantaged students that were on financial aid because getting an F into your grade point average can be a disaster, and it takes a long time to remove that. So what this policy does replaces existing community college policy on granting of incomplete transcript notation. It affirms existing practice, and I might just say that this was the community college board policy. That's why we're addressing it this way, and we're changing a policy that already existed in the past. So what it does, it affirms some existing practice. It clarifies definition and transcript notations. It is really written to confirm that a student is actively engaged in class prior to the official census date. It is important, as I said, in meeting Title IV eligibility standards and that are needed to certify that that they can disperse Title IV funds. If a student does not begin attending in a payment period, then the funds that are credited to the student's account have to be returned to the federal government. The previous transcript notation of UF, that's what we have used in the past when a student did not engage before the census date, and then that would convert to an F on the transcript at the end of the semester. The notations that we're going to use now, instead of that, is NP, that the student never participated, and that will replace the UF. And there are positives and negatives to this process, and those do appear on page 117. Just briefly, the positive is that it will help our retention rate because a student that never appeared or never came to a class or started an online class that was on student financial aid appeared as a student on our records, and therefore very often they never came back, and when it really harmed our retention and graduation rates. On the other hand, the downside is that it made our enrollment look better for the semester. So there's a choice, and our choice really is to improve our retention rates. Honestly, a student that never appeared should not be included in our enrollment. So that is basically the policy. I hope Steve is on the line if there are questions because it is complex. And I then would ask for a motion to approve the resolution on page 114, and I'm available for questions afterwards.
Thank you. So there's a request for a motion. I can go ahead and move it. We need a second and then any questions.
I move.
Okay, we have a, thank you. So we have a motion and a second,
right.
Matt.
Yeah. Any questions for Merle on this? Okay, not hearing any. It was a thorough explanation. So let's reward you for it with an action. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, I think it's safe to say that we're approved there. Okay, back to you, Vice Chair.
Okay, the next item is on page 122, and it is a resolution dealing with the holistic case management advising policy. And we've talked a lot about guided pathways over the past year or two, and this is really a major step in getting this implemented. And I really want to thank Greg DeSantis and everyone who's been involved in getting this ready to go, and I think we're really at a good point now. I think the most important thing is that between 2011 and 2015, only 15% of our students enrolled full-time at Connecticut State colleges and university, community college campuses, graduated within 3 years. Now, this is a federal number, and I know many of our students go in just to take a few courses, but if you compare this to the average national community college graduation rate, it's low. So I think that's what we have to look at, is how we compare with others when we're using federal data. What this also has shown, what our work has also shown, is there is a significant racial disparity in graduation rates. So not only are our rates lower, we continue to show a disparity between white students and other racial groups. What our guided pathways program will do is hopefully change those two metrics, graduation rate and disparities. So this holistic method that we're talking about adopting should do both of those things. The goal is to add advisors, and our current rate of advisement at this point in time is, excuse me, I have to find my note here, it's over 700 students, I believe, to an advisor. And what this will do is 760. Each advisor has 760 students. What we're looking for is to add advisors so we can do what I just said, change the retention rate and eliminate or reduce disparities. And our goal is that by 2022, the fall of 2022, we will have a ratio of 1 to 250. So that is our goal, and we're going to work hard to achieve that goal when we look at our budgets. The other thing it will mean is adopting technology-driven practices that will enhance advisement, student progress, monitoring, and coordination of services. What we will have is a technology system that advisors can consult, find out where students are. Faculty can consult this and find out that students are having difficulties, and there can be coordinated follow-up for students so that we can make sure that they're getting the services they need and the support they need. I will call your attention to pages 124 and 125 that delineate the entire model, and what we're going to be working for is I should say, is to have initial implementation and assessment plan developed by December 2020. So we're implementing this, and by December 2020, we'll have the metrics that we're using to make sure that we're reaching our goals in both of those areas, retention and changing disparities, and getting to that 1 to 2 advisement. So the resolution is before you on page 123, and I move that resolution.
Rich,
This is Naomi, second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded, and it's just a pillar of our student success strategy, and it's just exciting to see it distilled and moving forward like this. Any further discussion or questions about this? All right. So all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed or abstaining? Okay, it is approved. Thank you again. Back to you.
Okay, I just would like to report on a couple of other areas of discussion that I believe are really important for the committee and for the board as well. As you saw, we approved a long list of new programs, and there is some concern among members of the ASA committee that we may, in times when we don't know what our student enrollment is going to look like, it may not be the best time to start new programs. On the other hand, as was pointed out by many of our campuses, if we don't keep ahead and come up with or develop programs that really reach institutional needs and student desire, we are going to lose students, and we will not be participating in Connecticut economic development needs. So we're trying to balance those two things, and therefore we approved the programs today with a little clause that they can start them based on relevant enrollment data, if you saw on every resolution this time. And so Jane Gates and I have been working, and she has been working with academic deans to come up, or academic leaders, I should say, because sometimes they're provosts on the four-year campuses, to come up with a set of guidelines that a campus should look at to determine whether or not they think it's time to start that approved program. So if they want to start something that we approved in September, they will look at the 6 factors, and they will report to Jane Gates whether they feel that they can meet their goals, or if they can't meet their goals, they can adjust their budget, and they will determine there are a sufficient number of students so that they can go ahead with and offer the courses that are needed without damaging the budget, that they also will be able to provide the support that these new students need so that the retention rate will not be jeopardized, and that they have adequate time to recruit students for the program. They may have already done some of that, so it may be the time to start a new program. So we're leaving it up to the institutions, but with Dr. Gates's review, and if she has questions, she'll go back to the campus. If she approves the program immediately, she'll approve the program immediately. If there seems to be some concern, she can bring that back to the ASA. So those were sent out this morning to all the board members. They're in the material that Erin sent, and they went out to ASA committee meeting members yesterday. And again, I just want to emphasize there's that delicate balance between meeting needs and making sure that we are fulfilling our fiduciary responsibility. So that's that piece. The other piece is that we've been working on modifying the material that comes to the ASA committee so that we have what we need to act on an item, but not a lot of the detail that really is curriculum detail that we are not able or capable. We don't have the skills to kind of assess it, and we're going back and forth. So we're going to try a new approach very shortly. Dr. Gates is working on that, and we've also asked Dr. Gates to work with Ben Barnes to come up with a better way of producing a budget that really can let us see if we think that it's a viable program. We have not been happy with the budgets in the past. There's a lack of consistency, and we really hope that we can come up with something that will be agreeable to the institutions and provides us the information we need. So that's my report.
Excuse me, Madam Vice Chair, this is Erin. I apologize if I missed this, but did you want to address the one-time extension of the deadline for incomplete grades and the information item? So we're looking at agenda items C and D.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't have that final. Well, we don't have the final document, as you know. You're talking about the pass-fail, right? And the, excuse me, I'll have to go up to the top of my agenda.
Page 141. And again, I apologize if I don't see that that's a resolution on page 141.
Okay, just a second. I'm getting there. It takes me a long time for my computer to get to the right point. Page 141. I'm almost there.
Yeah.
Okay. So page 141.
Erin, this is Elise. On my sheet, it's on page one. I think it's on a different page, 144.
No, okay, I do have. I do have that. Okay, 141. I'm sorry. This was recent. It was added. It's a resolution concerning the one-time extension of the deadline to submit incomplete grades for CSU, the CSU community, and this was, as you saw from the student advisory council report, a request from students. In this time of the pandemic, with all the concerns people have about completing their current semester's work and feeding their family and distancing, that they have not had an ample time to complete the work that they may have not finished in the previous semester. There is a current Board of Trustee policy that states that the incomplete must be completed by the end of the 10th week of the next standard semester. So what we're saying here, what we're asking for is an extension on that because of COVID-19, that the student will have until the end of this semester to complete work from either the fall 2019 semester or the winter 2020 semester. So it's giving a little extra time for students that currently have not finished their work. And I assume, and I know this will be to the benefit of our student body. So I move that resolution on page 141.
Second, Naomi.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And
Any
I
opposed?
guess
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you.
okay, and
Go
I
ahead.
just want to comment on the other procedure change. We don't have to vote on it because it's a procedure, not a policy. With the pass-fail, I know that there's been a lot of concern, but there has been a lot of consultation, and the FAC has been able to weigh in now. I know there were some missteps in the very beginning. Information was sent to a lot of people, and it very often didn't get to all the faculty members for comment. So that has been an issue. But in a time when we're trying to meet needs during a pandemic, I think it's really important that we move swiftly in order that students understand. So I think we now have all of that feedback. And as President Ojakian noted, that will be going out in the next two, either tomorrow or Monday. And I guess my request is that it go out to faculty before it goes out to the students, so that the faculty will have a chance to see it, and then if a student calls, they will know, they also will be able to answer questions, because in many programs, the faculty member really has to help, the faculty advisor really has to help the student make the decision whether a pass-fail makes sense for that particular student. It depends on where that student wants to go after graduation, as to what appears on the transcript. So that is my report now, and I apologize for missing that one item. Thank you, Erin.
No, that's all right. And again, I want to apologize because I'm not certain that you did cover the agenda item 11D, which is the information item, that we have a staff report and an org chart that was distributed. That's what you've already covered.
Okay. I thought that's just an information item, but I thought that's not coming from Human Resources. That's coming from my committee. Okay. We did start looking at what the academic configuration will look like under Students First. And as you can see, there is an org chart in your agenda on page 144. And it actually, what we're showing is what the top layers of the academic structure will look like. And if anyone has any question, I would be very happy to have someone else answer them because this was really developed. We did have an explanation in the committee, but this was developed by system office staff. And it is a draft. As you can see up in the top, and marked on it, it's not final. So there is time for questions and to really better understand this before it becomes final.
All right, any questions or comments? All right, thank you, Merle, and to everybody for the hard work behind the report and the action items. I believe we do not have audit on the agenda today, so we'll go straight to finance and infrastructure. Chairman Balducci.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I would also like to welcome our new FAC members, in particular Dr. Blitz as a member of the Finance and Infrastructure Committee. The Finance Committee met on March 11th. We had one action item there, a recommendation which was requested by Gateway for the conveyance of a piece of property in North Haven. That is on today's consent agenda, which we've all voted on. The information items we had are two. One dealt with the annual report of ESCU 2020, which is now winding down to the end, as we know. And there was a report dealing with the financial implications of the holistic case management advising policy, which Merle did an outstanding job of reporting on already. And the Finance Committee had approved of the $3 million initially needed for the first year so that they can hire 60 advisors and bring, as Merle indicated, the crazy number of 750 students per advisor down, hopefully to about 250 by 2022. And the staff is working to develop a spending plan in the coming year for that program. We do have one additional item that was not on the committee on March 11th, and it's time sensitive. It's a policy which appears on today's agenda as 12A. It deals with student registration and payment plan at our community colleges to address the COVID-19 impact on community colleges. The issue comes before us today because it would allow the colleges to make a time-sensitive policy change that will assist the students, and that's where we're all about, is helping our students. And to deal with the urgent financial hardships, which many of them will be facing, and through no fault of their own, through loss of jobs, et cetera, as a result of this pandemic. The proposal is temporary, and I repeat that, temporary. It's a temporary change to the current policy that prohibits students from registering if they still owe money from a prior semester. So you cannot register for an upcoming semester's courses if you still owe money for the present semester.
I would offer as a side note that as we remember, one of the goals under Students First is to be able to reinvest savings realized through a shared services model into student services. You'll note that it's anticipated that while we are transitioning, we'll have some system budget and duplication issues that will exist, but they will be temporary and only until the full implementation to one college. The board really owes its thanks to Joe Tolosano and Ben Barnes and Andy Kripp and all the members of their various committees for their indefatigable efforts to strategize, gather input, revise, and formulate the materials before us this morning. And I know those three gentlemen are on the line if they want to chime in.
Anything more from the indefatigable trio reference?
It's like the Three Sopranos, but we didn't ask them to sing.
Thankfully, no, nothing to add.
All right, thank you. Anything further?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's my report.
All right, and we appreciate it and appreciate the good work behind that as well. Okay, for the executive committee, this is a bit of a cleanup item. First, for purposes of discussion, I'd like to request a motion to move the resolution on page 159 of our agenda packets. That's for purposes of discussion.
So moved,
okay, great.
So moved, Naomi.
Thank you both. March 26th, some of you will recall the exec committee conducted an emergency meeting via email. The emergency nature of this was obviously the COVID crisis and the need really by the next day for CSCU facilities to accommodate people impacted. With the guidance of our legal counsel, thank you, Ernestine, the meeting was conducted really by the next day for CSCU facilities to accommodate people impacted. With the guidance of our legal counsel, thank you, Ernestine, the meeting was conducted in compliance and conformity with all the state regs and our bylaws. And as provided for in those bylaws, the exec committee, as I think you're all aware, is permitted to exercise the authority of the full board in emergencies. Any action taken in those situations must be subsequently ratified in compliance and conformity with all the state regs and our bylaws. And as provided for in those bylaws, the exec committee, as I think you're all aware, is permitted to exercise the authority of the full board in emergencies. Any action taken in those situations must be subsequently ratified by the full board. I have to add an addendum to this. You can see we're leading to a request for a ratification here. The board members received an email this morning on this by the full board. I have to add an addendum to this. You can see we're leading to a request for a ratification here. The board members received an email this morning on this topic, which was also posted on the website for today's meeting. When the committee voted March 26th to approve CSCU executing a memorandum of understanding in this regard, the topic, which was also posted on the website for today's meeting. When the committee voted March 26th to approve CSCU executing a memorandum of understanding in this regard, the MOU was with the Department of Administrative Services and the Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. Following our vote, Department of Administrative Services, MOU was with the Department of Administrative Services and the Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. Following our vote, Department of Administrative Services became the sole lead agency on the project, so that DEHMS was no longer needed to be party. What all that means is that an updated MOU was executed April 8th between Administrative Services became the sole lead agency on the project, so that DEHMS was no longer needed to be party. What all that means is that an updated MOU was executed April 8th between Administrative Services Department and the board and therefore the resolution provided it has to be amended to cover that change, to remove the reference to Emergency Services, Administrative Services Department and the board and therefore the resolution provided it has to be amended to cover that change, to remove the reference to Emergency Services. So I have to, prior to calling for a vote on the ratification, request a friendly but needed amendment to the resolution to remove the reference to Emergency Services in the final paragraph. May I have
This is Naomi,
a motion and a second? So I have to, prior to calling for a vote on the ratification, request a friendly but needed amendment to the resolution to remove the reference to Emergency Services in the final paragraph. May I have
This is Naomi,
a motion and a second?
This is Elise, second.
Thank you. Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. And thank you for the help with that one. So that carries. I'd like to, before we conclude the meeting, turn the microphone over to President Ojakian with another important personnel item that we wanted to make sure that we shared with the board. President.
This is Elise, second.
Thank you. Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. And thank you for the help with that one. So that carries. I'd like to, before we conclude the meeting, turn the microphone over to President Ojakian with another important personnel item that we wanted to make sure that we shared with the board. President Ojakian?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for indulging me. And this item was actually first on my list, and I skipped right over it. And so I apologize. I wanted to inform.
Ojakian?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for indulging me. And this item was actually first on my list, and I skipped right over it. And so I apologize. I wanted to inform the board personally of the upcoming departure of one of our incredible community college leaders, and that's President the board personally, of the upcoming departure of one of our incredible community college leaders, and that's President Coco DeFilippis. As you know, because I communicated this to you, Daisy is retiring from state service. I believe it's effective August 1st, and is going Coco DeFilippis. As you know, because I communicated this to you, Daisy is retiring from state service. I believe it's effective August 1st, and is going back home, going back to the CUNY system, where she will lead one of the CUNY institutions. In my conversations with her, back home, going back to the CUNY system, where she will lead one of the CUNY institutions. In my conversations with her, it became apparent to me that she really is going home, not only to institution that she loves, the state that she loves, but to her family. And those of you that know her know that it became apparent to me that she really is going home, not only to institution that she loves, the state that she loves, but to her family. And those of you that know her know that while her students, faculty, and staff are her extended family, her family means everything to her. So we will have more time while her students, faculty, and staff are her extended family. Her family means everything to her. So we will have more time to acknowledge her incredible accomplishments to her institution, to the community, to the state of Connecticut before that time. But I didn't want to leave this meeting without recognizing her, to acknowledge her incredible accomplishments to her institution, to the community, to the state of Connecticut before that time. But I didn't want to leave this meeting without recognizing her. And also, I would have killed myself if I got off the call, and the first thing on my list I forgot to mention. So if Daisy's on the line, I apologize for waiting till the end of her. And also, I would have killed myself if I got off the call, and the first thing on my list I forgot to mention. So if Daisy's on the line, I apologize for waiting till the end of the meeting. But you know, sometimes what comes last is the best.
Always, what comes last is the best. Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, and thank you on behalf of the board. Thank you.
The meeting, but you know, sometimes what comes last is the best.
Always, what comes last is the best. Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, and thank you on behalf of the board. Thank you, Daisy, for your service. And we wish you a happy return home to your family and an institution that will benefit from your leadership. Daisy, for your service. And we wish you a happy return home to your family and an institution that will benefit from your leadership. With that, I think we'll, you are welcome, and thank you. We'll conclude this portion of the meeting. We're moving to an executive session for which I need to request a motion. Leadership. With that, I think we'll, you are welcome, and thank you. We'll conclude this portion of the meeting. We're moving to an executive session for which I need to request a motion.
Chairman.
Thank you. This is an exec session concerning appointment or evaluation of public officer or employee.
Chairman.
Thank you. This is an exec session concerning appointment or evaluation of public officer or employee. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So
Aye.
we're going to go ahead. I know we have a different line to dial in for that. So thank you. We'll be back in executive session shortly. We'd like all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So
Aye.
we're going to go ahead. I know we have a different line to dial in for that. So thank you. We'll be back in executive session shortly. We'd like Alice to remain with President Ojakian and the board. Thank you all.
What's the new line? I'm sorry. This is great.
Alice to remain remain with President Ojakian and the board. Thank you all.
What's the new line? I'm sorry. This is late.
This is Erin. I will resend the call-in number. I didn't hear who needed that.
Okay, it's Elise, but thank you.
I'll
That'd
resend
be
it.
great. Thanks, Erin.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
This is Erin. I will resend the call-in number. I didn't hear who needed that.
Okay, it's Elise, but thank you.
I'll
That'd
resend
be
it.
great. Thanks, Erin.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Oh, geez. Oh, geez.
Hello?